All right, we're approaching the hour. For those interested, that was John Coltrane, Giant Steps. So I think we're about to get started.
All right. Yeah, I think we're probably good to go. Thank you, Sam, for the jazz music there. That was a good way to get this going. So, good afternoon. Welcome to this month's ASCE Luncheon. My name is Bradley East. I am the ASCE Austin Branch President. Thank you all for joining us today. We have a great lineup for you, so let's go ahead and jump right in. So I hope everybody had a joyous holiday season. I'm not sure about y'all, but I've certainly had a tough time getting back into work mode, but I digress. We've got some upcoming events here in the second half of our ASCE fiscal year. We've got the legislative drive-in coming up from February 22nd to the 26th. I believe there is an additional announcement on this forthcoming, so stay tuned. We've also got Engineers Week from February 21st through the 27th. You know, I'm hoping that the Austin branch can host an event or two during that week. So again, stay tuned on that. And we also have the University of Texas at Austin hosting this year's Student Symposium, which will be held virtually from April 15th to the 17th. Our recent newsletter has some additional details about each of those events, including links that that, like I said, should provide you with additional details and information if you're interested. Lastly, I want to mention, and you may or may not be aware, but we have started recording these meetings, and we've been posting them to our YouTube channel. So if you're interested in going back and listening to a presentation, or if you miss one of these speakers and presentations and would like to view it, please check out our YouTube page. You know, we are very with the times these days at ASCE Austin. And with that, I want to say that this month's meeting is proudly sponsored by Freese and Nichols. You know, it's sponsors such as Freese and Nichols that allow us to do these luncheons and to host some of our other events that we put on throughout the year. So thank you, Freese and Nichols, and thank you to all our other sponsors that are out there. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Sean Berry to give you a little bit more information about who Freese and Nichols is and what they can do. So Sean, take it away.
Hi, thank you, Bradley. Good afternoon. We're very proud at Freese and Nichols to be this month's meeting sponsor. Just a little bit about Freese and Nichols. We plan, design, and manage infrastructure projects with a focus on innovative and sustainable solutions. Since our founding in 1894 up in Fort Worth, Freese and Nichols has put relationships first, fostering long-term, mutually beneficial associations with clients, teaming partners, and staff. We're organized regionally across 7 states in the southern U.S., and we know and serve our clients well by living and working in the communities in which we serve. Our multidisciplinary teams are integrally connected to provide seamless professional consulting services. We help clients through all stages of the project lifecycle, whether that be planning, design, program management, funding, procurement, regulatory and environmental compliance, construction management, and operations and maintenance. Freese and Nichols is nationally recognized for award-winning technical solutions and performance excellence. Our commitment to quality was validated when Freese and Nichols became the first engineering architecture firm in the nation to receive the Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award, the highest level of recognition for performance excellence in the United States. We are able to stay at the forefront of industry trends and help to advance multidisciplinary innovations through our active participation in professional organizations such as ASCE. Thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoy today's meeting.
All right, thank you, Sean, and thanks again for sponsoring. We sincerely appreciate it. All right, Sam, you want to take over and run through some of these announcements?
Sure can. My name's Sam Shorter. I'm the president-elect of the Austin ASCE. Wanted to start out here with a few announcements. First off, the Honors Committee is still seeking the 20 nominations for the 2021 Austin Branch Engineer of the Year. We've revised that due date to January 29th. We have received several submittals, but we would like to receive a few more. The winner will be announced with the modified E-Week festivities in May. If you didn't know, generally we have kind of E-Week during February, and some of those events have been moved, specifically the TSP banquet. And if you know anyone deserving, please reach out to David Matoka. You can also reach out to myself or Bradley or anyone on the board, and we can help you navigate that. So with that, I'm going to pass to Austin regarding sponsorship.
Hey everyone, my name's Austin Helton with Kimley Horn. I'm this year's sponsorship chair for the Austin branch. I'd like to encourage everyone to talk to their firms, become a sponsor. We have multiple opportunities for sponsorship, such as annual sponsorship, meeting sponsorships, sponsorships for conference, or you can save some money and bundle all of those together. The way you'll get recognition through these sponsorships are your logos and plugs, such as what Friesen Nichols made today during the luncheons. And these sponsorships are used to support our charitable contributions as a branch that we give out every year, and then scholarships that we give to students. So if you have any questions, please reach out to myself. I believe my contact information should be shown. If not, you can reach me at my email, austin.helton@kimleyhorn.com. Thank you.
All right, Austin, thanks for phoning in from Mission Control there. We do welcome any sponsors, and so if you need to, if your company's able, please reach out to Austin. Next, we'd like to hear from Robert Ramon regarding the UT mentoring program. Robert?
Hey everyone, this is Robert. So we have partnered and have been partnering with the University of Texas. They have a senior level engineering course called Engineering Professionalism, in which the students provide or they develop real projects for real clients. And as mentors, we guide them with their alternatives that they develop and primarily with how to present to the client and interactions with the client. So they have about 17 groups this semester, and we try to get at least 2 or 3 mentors per group. And so we are definitely in need of some volunteers for this semester. So my contact info, if you are interested, is in the slides. You can reach me at rramon@gmail.com for any more information. And we'll be beginning that interaction with the students starting next week. So if you're interested, please let me know and let me know soon. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Robert. I'd like to encourage anyone who can to be a mentor. Some people in our company are, and they enjoy the project or reaching out to the students quite a bit. So it's a good opportunity to connect with the university. And so next, we'd like to hear from Austin Messerly regarding government relations. Austin?
Hello, my name is Austin Messerly, and I'm the Government Relations Chair here for the Austin branch. And as Bradley touched base on, this is an exciting time for the government relations, as we have the drive-in coming up at the end of February. This is going to be an all virtual event. I know we've had a lot of people from the Austin branch participate in the past, and making it virtual, we kind of added some additional trainings and some events leading up, and as well as during the week of the event itself. On the PowerPoint, you have the link to sign up, but we're also sending out in the weekly newsletter or the monthly newsletters, as well as from the Texas section. So feel free to click and join that. I expect to have one of the largest contingencies from Texas from the Austin branch. So if you have any other questions, let me know.
All right, thank you, Austin. And next, we'd like to hear from Marita Moya and the Younger Member Forum. Marita?
Hi, my name is Marita Moya, and I'm the Younger Member Forum Director this year. We host various meetings to encourage networking and like the form of socials or seminars, and even service events in our community, really just to bring together young civil engineering professionals in the Austin area. So currently we have an opportunity to sign up this month to join us in the PE review course. We host it every semester. And so taking registrations now for the upcoming PE in April, you can reach out to our representative, Raul Obera, and his email's here, or you can reach out to us in social media or via the Austin branch website. So, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Marita, for that update from YMF. Oops. I accidentally clicked one over. I'm sorry about that. So there's the information if you need a note here for the PE review course. I was one slide off. And you can also reach out to Marita or anyone on the YMF group, and they can help you out. Next, we'd like to hear from Paul Hahn for the Structural Engineering Institute. Paul?
Thank you, Sam. So I'm not a structural engineer at all, but I'll fill in today. SEI has their January professional meeting coming up this Thursday, 2 days from now, on the 21st. It'll be virtual. Nicholas Graziani is going to discuss bridge expansion joints. So if you're a structural engineer, feel free to join and listen in. And then sometime in the spring, hopefully, possibly in the fall, the structural engineering talks, the SET TED style talks that should be a little unconventional are coming up. Typically, those are hosted at Alamo Draft House, but so that's why it's still in flux. But they are planning to host that again this year in some form or fashion. So website on the screen if you need additional information. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Paul, for filling in for SEI. Next, EWRI and Mr. Travis Kotz. Travis?
Yeah, so the EWRI annual scholarship is now open. It'll have a deadline of March 12th. We currently have one $2,000 scholarship for college and two $1,500 scholarships. And we're also doing four $500 scholarships for high school students. So we'll be posting that application on our website, as well as distributing that through the ASCE and EWRI newsletters. Also, we're still planning our continual education workshop. We decided to push that to mid to late July, just in hopes to have it in person. So keep an eye out for that date. We'll be sending the save the dates out soon once we get things booked, and our workshop theme is still to be determined.
All right. Thank you, Travis. I'd like to encourage everyone to stay posted for the EWRI conference. It's a very good conference that people attend from across the state, and it's always very informative. So next, we have Engineers Without Borders and Ms. Lizzie Wilson.
Hi, yes. So my name is Lizzie Wilson, and I am the Director of Projects for the Greater Austin Chapter of Engineers Without Borders. I'd like to invite everyone to our 4th trivia night tonight. It is tonight at 7 p.m. and I'll post a link to the information. And then we've also been starting general meetings. So I'll have our second general meeting, actually our third general meeting. It's every second Tuesday of the month. So our next one will be February 9th. And I'm including our operations director's email in my message. So you can email her for the Zoom info for that. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Lizzie, for the update. We definitely enjoy hearing from and participating with EWB. Next, we have the Scholarship Committee and Laura Friello. Laura, would you be available?
Yes. Hi, my name is Laura Friello. I'm actually one of the co-chairs this year for the Scholarship Committee, along with Andrea Bryant. We are currently wrapping up the applications right now for the kind of traditional civil engineering at UT scholarships. So this year we're offering one $3,000 and one $2,000 scholarship. So if you know anybody who is in that program, make sure that you're getting the word out. And then also, and the main reason why I'm here is if you are interested in being on the review panel, you can reach either one of us at the scholarships email address. So our applications right now, we're setting a due date for March 5th. So obviously in that March timeframe, if you're available, want to review some great applications from some students, reach out to us. I think the second slide here has our email address, but again, it's the scholarships at ASCE. I can't, is it? I'm not seeing the, anyway, but you can reach out to us at that email, or it's also in the newsletter. So thanks.
All right. Thank you, Laura. Definitely encourage anyone, if they know any students, to have them apply for these scholarships. We could always use more applicants. So just if you know anybody. So now I'd like to get to the speaker portion of the meeting. And it's my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Yantao Huang. Yantao received his BS in Transportation Engineering from China's Central South University in 2012 and his master's degree in Transportation Engineering from Imperial College London. He began working with Dr. Kara Kockelman to pursue his PhD at the University of Texas, University of Texas in January of 2017. His research interests are rooted in shared autonomous vehicle applications and network simulations. He has contributed to research analysis and travel behavior modeling for 2 TxDOT-sponsored research projects on the topic of smart transport systems for Texas, and contributed to electric vehicle infrastructure optimization research for the National Science Foundation project. Currently, Yantao is exploring the impact of shared autonomous vehicles on transit systems. Today, he's going to speak to us about using shared automated vehicles for first mile, last mile service. And so I could pretend to know what those words mean, but it sounds like Yantao is going to let you know a little more. And we'd like to give a shout out to Dr. Kockelman. She's a great professor who I had at UT, and so I'm sure Yantao is going to wow us today with his presentation. So with that, I'll pass the mic. Yantao.
Thank you. Let me share my screen first. Can you make me able to share the screen, I mean?
Just one sec.
Cool.
All right, sorry, there you go.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Hello, everyone. I am Yantao Huang. I'm from the University of Texas at Austin, and I'm working with Dr. Kara Kockelman. And this work is part of my dissertation. My dissertation is to investigate the use of shared automated vehicles to provide the access and egress mode to the transit stations. And this work is also collaborated with my colleagues at National Renewable Energy Lab. So transit is not the first mode in most US cities because of the long access and egress time, and also the fixed route and schedules, and also people in the United States are very oriented in the car use. If we provide an efficient first mile and last mile connections to the transit stations, there is a potential to expand the transit catchment areas, reduce the access and egress times, and therefore there is a potential to reduce the ridership of the transit use. But access and egress mode to the transit stations have some drawbacks. Like for the kiss and ride mode, there is a burden for like the neighbor or family members to drop off the riders at the stations. Or for the park and ride mode, like the rider needs to spend time and money to find a space near the transit stations. And for the service from the transportation network companies, we usually expect a high cost for them, and people who use them usually just ride from their origin to their destination. So that beats the purpose of like connecting to the transit stations. So there is a the shared automated vehicles can be an attractive solution to access and egress the transit stations because they offer the advantages over the traditional ride-hailing service. They can have lower costs for operators and riders, and because of the automation technology, we can have a greater fleet control. And the SAVs can also have advantages over the other first mile and last mile mode. They can have faster speed than the walking and biking. They can help avoid bad weather or carrying items. There's no coordination needed and no special parking needed for the riders. And more importantly, if they are right-sized and they are electric vehicles, they can bring huge benefits of the energy saving compared to the conventional vehicles we are using. So how to use this, how to deploy these shared automated vehicles? The short-term deployment of them is anticipated in the form of SAVs in geofenced urban districts with high trip densities. As we can see, a lot of early deployment or tests are conducted in very small areas. Like as I show in the picture, you can see we often tend to deploy them first in central business area or mixed land use deployment area, or like the campus area, like inside the campus of University of Texas Austin. And they tend to be a campus-sized implementation to realize all the benefits of a fully automated mobility service first within a region. Then you can extend the service area to the whole city or on the highway. So here the transit stations make the perfect use case for an automated mobility district because we have high densities of transit boarding and alighting throughout the day. So as part of my presentation, this research have two parts. The first, I want to investigate the potential of using the SAVs as the connections to the transit in geofenced regions. And the second part is to investigate such fleet, the detailed operations of such fleet in coordination with the mode choice and transit schedules. The way I did that was to use the microscopic software called SUMO, which stands for the Simulation of Urban Mobility. Since it can simulate the details of both like the passenger and vehicle operations, it is easier to like simulate like the curbside pickup and drop off, and more detailed congestion can also be modeled. So this is a general idea of how this simulator works. We prepared the demand table, the geographic file of the road network. We also had the characteristics of the SAV and transit, like the average speed, like the settings of the vehicles, like the accelerate and deceleration rate, and also like the average speed of the transit. We also considered the passenger behavior, like the mode choice model, and also some first mile, last mile service configurations, like how many vehicles should be implemented in one mobility district. With all this information, when we go into the simulator, we used a Python interface called Tracy, and it enables us to get real-time control of the passengers and the vehicles. And it can help track the status of both passengers and the vehicles. Like if a passenger is on a train, we can plan the next stage for this rider, whether he or she goes directly to the destination by walk, or we need to plan it for a CV to pick up and drop off. So with all these simulators information, we got the outputs at the network level, like the average travel distance, vehicle miles traveled, or the deadheading distance, or we see it as empty vehicle miles traveled, where we have no passengers on board. We also have the results of the vehicle and passenger level, like the detailed vehicle trajectories, or like the passenger and vehicle waiting time, or the average vehicle occupancy. And this is a more detailed flow of how the simulation goes. What I want to mention is we have like a feedback between the mode choice model and the sumo simulation. And specifically, we have we take control of the rider's SAV wait time, because we consider that in our mode choice model. And after the simulation, we get the new rider's wait time to feedback in the mode choice model. So in that case, we have a consistent result between the mode choice model and the sumo simulator, considering the rider's wait time for the SAV, for the rail, and the distance that they access and egress the transit model. And here is the area that we implemented our the simulation. So first, this is the Austin 6 County region, and the capital metro red line is within the blue box here. In this area, this map is obtained from the capital metro. And our simulation was conducted on the central Austin region in this blue box here. So for the red line, we had about 2,500 average daily ridership in 2018, and we anticipated to reach 10,000 daily riders by 2025 with a 15-minute frequency. And in this area, it contains 5 stations, and from top to the bottom, there are Crestview Station, Highland Station, Martin Luther King Station, Plaza Station, and the Downtown Station. And we convert and we obtain the network from the OpenStreetMap and convert it to the network that we can use in the simulator. We used the Campo model from the year 2030 forecast for the travel demand. We extracted 246 TAVs from all the Austin 6 County region. And it turns out to be about 4,200 trips across the region during the morning peak. And in the end, we used 10% sample of the morning peak to simulate the cars and the SAVs and the transit. And the figure on the right shows the service area of the automated mobility district. And that's the 1.5 miles buffer or radius around the stations. In this case, the vehicles are only allowed to serve the trips connected to the stations in that area. And since we also considered walk as access and the egress mode to transit stations, so we only allowed 1 mile buffer around the stations that the walk and ride mode is available. And here is the mode choice model. We considered 4 modes here with 2 nested logical structure. We have walk, car, and transit in the first level. And for the second level, we have walk and ride in SAV and ride mode nested under the transit mode. And there is a limitation here for the transit mode because we are forcing the the access and egress mode to be the same, both for the walk and the SAV case. And we did an enhancement for this in the second part, but for the first part we just assume that they are the same. So there are some other information about the mode choice utility function. We assume the speed of walking at 0.1 miles per hour. We have the operating costs for a personal car as 60 cents per mile, and the value of travel time for the driver is $17.67 per hour. We have the $1 per mile operating costs for the SAV and the ride mode. We assume no like fixed costs here for the service because there is a potential for the SAV modes to integrate with the transit, so that we just assume an operating cost as $1 per mile, and that's cheaper than the network company service we are using now. And also we assume a flat fare of $2 for the transit, and the transit the rail train is running at the speed of 32 miles per hour. So after the mode choice, this is an illustration of how the like the ride sharing works, or the real-time simulation control that we did for the passengers and the riders. So the controller of the sumo that we designed can obtain and react to a rider's current status and location. We did an evaluation of passenger and vehicle routing every 5 minutes, and the SAVs can provide first mile, last mile service in one routing plane. So here is a picture shows 2 riders using the first mile, last mile service. We first assume that they will not alter their service if they are not allowed to change their service. And first they have the predetermined station they want to go, and the predetermined station they want to alight. So for the first person, she gets off the vehicle first, and the vehicle picks up the second person. That's where the ride sharing works, and the vehicle drops off the first and the second person consequently to station 1 and station 2. And they use the transit to arrive at their destination train station, and the vehicles in another automated mobility district will come to pick up and drop off the 2 riders in a sequence. So in both automated mobility district, we have a separate fleet serving those requests. So here is the base case scenario that we use to compare the case when we don't have the SAV serving the trips to the stations with the case when we have the SAV and ride mode. So we have about, so the SAV and ride mode are mostly shifted from the car mode, and that's about 1,500 trips, and that will increase our transit use by a lot. But for the transit itself, it will be around 4% of all the mode share, and that's about 1,600 trips to use the transit mode. I think that's because of the cost and time efficientness of the SAV mode compared with car and walking to transit respectively. And although the SAV scans again the mode share, but we can also observe that the average vehicle occupancy dropped to 0.74 from 1 because the empty vehicle traveled by the SAVs as they need to like pick up the first passenger and relocate after dropping off the last passenger. And in that case, they will drive without no passengers on board. And we also observed that the total vehicle miles traveled increased about 5% in the area, but we had about 6% reduction of car VMT itself. And this means that we may have mitigated congestion on the highways, but we may have more congestion around the stations, especially the curbside congestion around the stations. And like we experienced like about 43 minutes for the first mile, last mile service, combining all the time, like the onboard time, wait time, walk time. And we further did a sensitivity analysis on the different headways of the transit service and the fleet size. You can see that with like a larger transit headway, riders will have less wait time for the SAVs because like the requests are more aggregated at the transit stations, and the vehicles can just go up and pick all the passengers at once. But that will also lead to a more longer wait time at the train stations because the trains come infrequently in that case. And another like obvious result is that when we have a larger fleet size in the area, the riders will experience less wait time for the SAVs, but the transit performance will be quite stable. And also we can observe that although we alter the headway and of the transit or the fleet size of the SAVs, the total travel time will be stable around 45 minutes. That means that like the mode choice will tend to be stable for the different settings of the first mile, last mile service, but it will tend to achieve the final service duration of 45 minutes for this first mile, last mile service. And I think this is about the first part that we introduced the service to see whether it can work for the area. And it turns out that we have about 4% increase in the transit use. And on top of that, we want to investigate a little more on the SAV fleet operations. And in this part, we enhanced a few parts from the first part. The first one is we enhanced the operational logic of the dynamic ride sharing and vehicle relocation. In the first part, for the ride sharing, we generate the routing plan for a vehicle every 5 minutes. But the vehicles are not allowed to change the routing plan until they finish the whole routing plan. But now we enable the in-route dynamic ride sharing, which means that we can add new requests to a vehicle's routing plan, so that like when a vehicle originally just serves one rider to pick the rider up and off, and it can add more riders to the visit, like it can pick up another rider first, and then drop off the rider who was originally in the routing plan. And we further extended the function of the vehicle relocation. Previously, we had the vehicle relocated to like to the road, and now we enable them to relocate to a parking depot, and we also initialize these vehicles in a parking depot. The next, we increase the demand level. Previously, we simulated 10% of all the travel modes, but now we only simulated the SAV transit travelers, but we expanded to 40,000 travelers. The SAV and transit travelers means the first mile, last mile riders who use the SAVs. So we only simulate those riders who use SAVs here. We also did an enhanced mode choice model because now we have different combinations of work and SAV as access and egress mode, as I show in this gray box here, and those three modes are what I simulated for this part. Based on the mode choice, we just use this mode split to simulate for these 4,000 SAV transit riders during the 3-hour morning peak. And again, that's the service area. And we also corrected or improved the working buffers, because we think that if we use a 0.5 mile buffer around the station to allow the availability of walk to the transit mode. So that's how we changed it here. And the blue dots are the parking depots where we initialize those SAVs. And also we did differently in this part is we don't just put an arbitrary number of SAV in the area. Instead, we provide enough SAVs at the parking depots. And we want to ensure 100% requests that can be met. So we tend to utilize the running vehicles on the road to serve the demand. If they are not able to satisfy the requests, we will pull out new SAVs from the parking depot to serve the demand. So that will be 100% satisfaction of the requests. And the picture now shows the trip ends of the first mile and last mile origins and destinations. And here is a quick illustration of how the dynamic ride sharing works. We did this evaluation every 1 minute to match the rider's requests to the vehicles. And again, we can provide first mile and last mile service in one routing plan. And so the figure that I show here is a timeline of a vehicle to pick up and drop off the passengers. And originally it was the black line. That's a sequence of picking up the riders of A, B, and C. And if we receive a new request from the person D, we want to insert that pickup point and drop-off point to this, like the pickup and drop-off line, to make it the yellow line. So in that case, we will have detours for the person who were originally on board. And in that case, we want to make sure two criterion are satisfied. The first is that the vehicle should, when the matching is conducted, the vehicle should be able to pick up the new requests in 5 minutes. And also we want to make sure that when we consider the pickup and drop off of the new rider, all the riders that are originally in the routing plan should not be delayed by 10 minutes for their drop-offs. And further, with the transit coordination, we want to make sure that the operations of the SAVs would consider the transit schedule. And by that, we want to make sure that the riders can arrive at the train, just catch the train that he or she desires to catch. And in this case, we check the train that a ride can catch by using the quickest service. For example, in the case when the nearest car or the nearest SAV to transport the person directly to the station here is still going to miss the second train. So the third train will be the one designed for the person to catch. And in that case, we assume that the rider is willing to take more detour as long as the rider can catch the desired train. So in that case, we can allow more requests to jump in as long as the rider's request can be satisfied. And also due to the uncertainties of the congestion and the other things, we further assume that the rider would like to arrive a few minutes earlier than the train departure. And now we assume that it's about 10% of the train headway. So that this blue point is where the rider wants to arrive, and that is when the fleet service wants to guarantee the arrival of this passenger. With all the information, we tested a base case scenario with train headways of 15 minutes. We have 4-seater SAVs serving each AMD, and we have the total demand of 4,000 riders over the 3-hour morning peak. And again, I mentioned about the criteria of the dynamic ride sharing. We allow maximum pickup time within 5 minutes, and delayed drop-off should be within 10 minutes for each rider. And we also did sensitivity analysis on different settings of the vehicle seatings, the train headways, the fleet size, and the dynamic ride sharing settings. Here is the fleet performance across the whole area. When we have no constraints placed on the SAV fleet size, it was found that a total of 240 SAVs are required to keep the average wait time around 4.5 minutes in Automated Mobility District 1. And the performance is quite similar in AMD 1, AMD 2, and across the whole area. The fleet size requirements in AMD 2 is a little larger because we have 3 stations there, and we have more passenger demand, as you can see from the first mile trips and the last mile trips. The whole area observed about 12,000 vehicle miles traveled, while replacing these transit trips with shortest path car trips will lead to 12,000, will lead to about 3.6 more VMT in area, and the system reduced 4,000 on-road cars to 526 SAVs. An interesting observation is that, is that the proportion of the shared vehicle miles is about 30%, but we have 90% of the person trips are shared. And this is because we have a very low percentage of the distance that are shared, which is about 27 or 28%. And the next are the sensitivity analysis of the vehicles. Vehicle sizes, we can see that the vehicle size falls for the large size vehicles because like a large vehicle can accommodate more passengers at the same time. But we also observed that the service duration for seats greater than 1 is almost doubled. And smaller size SAV first mile, last mile service experience a longer wait time. And we also observed that the incremental benefits of having 6-seater SAVs are minimal, but they cost more. And the next is the train headway. We tested the train headway from 5 minutes to 25 minutes. And when we have longer train headway, the first mile, last mile demand comes in spurts. And we can see that longer train headways require larger fleet size, and they resulted in higher MTVMT. And this means that they will lead to more shared ride at the stations, but they will lower the probability of first mile trips to be shared. And we also did a test on the fleet size. The base case scenario placed no restrictions on the fleet size because we just pull them out when we need to meet the demand that the current fleet cannot satisfy. And further, we scaled down the size of the fleet size until to half of the fleet size, and we can see that we had a stable system performance until a 40% reduction in the fleet size. And I think this is because of we didn't optimize the initialization and relocation of the vehicles. Like they may tend, if we relocate, we always relocate the vehicles to the nearest parking depot. But if we relocate the SAVs like to the parking depots that are more that are closer to like maybe the downtown station, the fleet performance will be better. And the last, I want to show the distribution of the wait time at the train stations when we have a coordination between the SAV and the train stations. So the x-axis shows the wait time at the station. The negative value shows the rider arrived late before the desired train. And in this case, with the coordination, we can see that the distribution shifts towards the positive side. And with the buffer of, like as I mentioned, 10% of the train headway, which is about 1 point a minute, that a person wants to arrive earlier than a train departure. The percentage of riders that can catch their scheduled train rose to 87% compared to the 57.5% in the base case. So the conclusion is both part 1 and part 2 used the SAV to provide first mile, last mile connectivity to transit stations. And in part 2, we have flexible access and egress decisions of walk and ride, walk or using the SAVs. And we further investigated the case when using the coordinations with train schedules. We used the Sumo micro simulation software to provide precise estimation of wait times, fleet, vehicle miles traveled, and other detailed SAV system matrices. So in the future, and also like as a part of the other part of my dissertation, I will load more traffic for more realistic congestion, and that is not something Sumo is capable of. So I'm now shifting to another simulator called Polaris, which is developed by the Argonne Argonne National Lab. And I will also optimize the parking locations for SAVs idling and relocations. I will also investigate the like the potential of different geofenced areas for more efficient first mile, last mile services. And another very important thing is I haven't enabled like the SAVs to provide a service to directly connect a person from the origin to the destinations. So I will also incorporate a mixed use of SAV service, including the first mile, last mile service, a shared ride door-to-door service, and also the potential of SAVs to replace the traditional transit corridors. Like for the traditional transit corridor, we use the 40 seats conventional bus, but there is a potential that we dispatch a 20-seat SAVs more frequently on a corridor, and that will be a potential to lead to a cost savings or like efficiency on the transit corridor. Yeah. So, yeah. So that's about it, and thank you for listening. And let me know if you have any questions and suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you, Yantao. We did have two questions here in the question and answer. The first one was, do you see the impact of COVID on society and transit speeding up or slowing down broader adoption of automated mobility?
Let me. Could you just repeat that again? Sorry, I was checking the box and also listening. I didn't catch the details like you're mentioning.
Not a problem. I shared it on the screen here from Sydney. Do you see the impact of COVID on society and transit speeding up or slowing down broader adoption in automated mobility?
Oh yeah, that's about the COVID. I think we observed. I think we have the different situations during the COVID situation. Like for New York City, which we highly rely on the transit service, and we saw like a lot of people shifted to their personal car use, and by now when we come to like a recent time, we can see that the VMT of the vehicles come back to the normal level, and I think the COVID will still be like a near-term impact, although we can observe that a lot of people tend to like continue to work at home after the COVID. So in that case, we will have a fewer people like using the transit or using the car use in the future. And also like we and our group did some other research about the long distance travel, and we also found that many people tend to make up their like lost trips during COVID. So they also tend to make more trips after the COVID for their long distance trips, like for the leisure or visiting their families. So yeah, that's it's still to be an uncertainty there. So it's hard to say, but we have a lot of like surveys going on to investigate the impact of the COVID.
Okay, and I've got one more question here. I used my favorite tool, the snipping tool, and copied it here from David Matoka. It seems technical. I'll go ahead and read it, and then if you could respond. The question from David was, once you enter the SAV, I would assume you're expecting a certain delivery time to your destination. Would this potential change between the time you entered the SAV and the time you, would this potential change between the time you entered the SAV and the time you reach your destination? In other words, I call on the SAV assuming I can reach the train station in 15 minutes. Once I am traveling in the SAV, could that time change, assuming 3 more people wanted the same SAV to pick them up?
Yeah, I think there are 2 things here I want to mention. I think the first is an assumption that I made that a writer will not change the mode he or she will use when he or she has decided to use a mode. So if we look at this situation from the writer's perspective, if the SAV is arrived very late, he or she can just change the mode. He just use the personal vehicles. So that's the case. We only look at from the fleet operator side. If a person has decided to use the first mile, last mile service, we want to make sure that the first mile, last mile service can satisfy this person. And the second is, actually, I skipped that part. So there is a comparison between a vehicle pick up and drop off a person between the case of using the shortest path and the case of the reroute. So the maximum 10 minutes delayed drop-off time, the constraint that I put in there, is between the case the SAV can pick up the person and drop off the person using the shortest path, ignore all the other riders, compared with the case considering all the detours. So that's how I define that minutes. So in that case, no matter how many new requests are considered to adding the a vehicle's routing plan, we always make sure that a rider will not be drop off delayed by 10 minutes compared with the case the SAV transport the person using the shortest path. I think that's my answer to the question.
Okay. Well, we appreciate that. We have one more question. We can hang out afterwards, and there's a few people who had some technical questions for you, Yantao. And so, coming to the end of the meeting here, so just wanted to wrap up and then pass it over to Bradley. Bradley?
All right, thanks, Sam. Thanks, Yantao. We really appreciate it. That was a great presentation, very informative. At this time, I am going to ask for a head count from our membership chair. Augustine, you still on?
Yes, sir. At the peak there, we had 76 participants.
All right. Great. Thanks, Augustine. With that concludes our luncheon for today. Before hanging up, I want to mention, typically in years past, we don't have a February luncheon, and that's mainly because we try to avoid the TSPE banquet that's held in February every year. So if you're unaware, it turns out that the TSPE banquet, because of COVID, has been postponed till May. So with that being the case, it does look like we're going to try to host a luncheon meeting in February, and we're in the process of trying to secure a high-profile speaker/topic. So stay tuned for that, and we'll hope to get you some additional details here in short order. So we look forward to seeing you back here on February 16th. Everybody stay healthy and safe, and we'll see you at the next one. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Bradley.
Thank you.
Thanks, Yantao.
All right. We will go ahead and, Yantao, if you have time, there was a question towards the end when we were talking about SAVs, and the question was, how was loading and unloading time for the SAV handled? We
assumed 3.5 5 seconds per rider to get on and get off the SAVs. So, yeah. So that's about the average time for the public transit. So that's how we assume that for also for the SAVs.
Well, it was very impressive, a little more technical than my my senior highway design course with Dr. Koppelman, so pretty advanced stuff there.
Yeah, I started like about 1.5 years ago, so it takes quite a lot of time on this.
Oh, well, good luck. You're at the forefront of an exciting field that hopefully UT can pioneer and you know help make the world a better place.
Thank you.
So
Yes, good
with
luck.
that,
with
I'm
your
gonna
studies.
go ahead and end the meeting, and we do appreciate your time and everyone who joined. We had a lot of transportation folks here that were very interested. So with that, I'm going to shut her down, and I hope you all have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.